One of the most common questions that I get from people that are moving into the greater Boston area or the city of Boston from out of state or another area of Massachusetts is, can I actually live in Boston without owning a car? And the answer is absolutely. Boston is one of the most walkable cities in the country, as a matter of fact. And there's really two ways that I look at walkability when it comes to Boston. There are these neighborhoods inside of Boston, we'll call them the urban core neighborhoods, where you're not only able to walk to the amenities, coffee shops, grocery stores, fitness centers that those specific neighborhoods offer, but you're also able to walk easily to other neighborhoods of Boston. So you have access to not only those direct, immediate neighborhood amenities, but also the surrounding neighborhoods amenities as well. And then you have these neighborhoods of Boston where the neighborhoods themselves are walkable, so you can get to, Main Street or Center Street with relative ease and get to the restaurants, coffee shops, and things there. But to get to the other neighborhoods of Boston, you're more likely going to be having to rely on public transportation or a vehicle of some kind, an Uber, or being able to drive yourself. So I'm going to touch on both, and let's start off with what we'll call Boston's walkable core. The first walkable neighborhood in Boston's urban core is the Back Bay. This is one of my go-to recommendations for people looking for that iconic Boston lifestyle. So here you're going to have access to the Newbury Street shopping areas, Boylston Street, the Prudential Center, Copley Square, the shops at Copley Place. You have countless restaurants, boutiques, shopping areas, grocery stores, gyms, offices, all within a relatively compact area. Transportation is excellent here. You have access to the Green Line on the T, the Orange Line, as well as the commuter rail and Amtrak service out of Back Bay Station. The architecture is another huge draw here. You have historic brownstones, stunning historic churches, as well as some modern high-rise buildings as well. You also have some tree-lined streets, Commonwealth Avenue Park, access to the public garden, Boston Common, the Charles River Esplanade. This neighborhood is one of the ones that people are basically envision when they imagine living in the Boston area. The neighborhood is absolutely iconic. The only real downside of this neighborhood, in my opinion, is it's one of the most expensive neighborhoods to live in the city of Boston. The second walkable neighborhood in Boston's urban core is Beacon Hill. And if charm is up there on your priority list, Beacon Hill is definitely hard to beat. This neighborhood is like stepping into a time machine. You have brick sidewalks, gas lamps, these historic federal style row houses, a lot of small independent shops along Charles Street. You're going to be in walking distance of Boston Common, the Public Garden, Downtown Crossing, Government Center, Mass General Hospital, the Financial District. Up in the actual residential neighborhood in Beacon Hill, it is extremely serene, peaceful, and quiet. So it's almost like you're in this little isolated bubble right in the middle of everything in Boston. Keep in mind that these Beacon Hill homes tend to be a little bit on the smaller side, and one of the trade-offs with the walkability here is Beacon Hill, yes, is in fact a hill, and some of these older brick sidewalks can just be a little bit treacherous during the winter when there's some snow on the ground. So keep that in the back of your mind, but if charm and convenience is important to you, Beacon Hill is one of the top neighborhoods you can live in the city of Boston. The third walkable neighborhood is the South End. This is one of my favorite neighborhoods to recommend for relocation clients. It's got amazing balance between sort of the city convenience and the residential lifestyle. It has amazing restaurants. It's a vibrant and active neighborhood, but doesn't feel overly touristy like the Back Bay can sometimes feel, or even parts of Beacon Hill. You're also a very easy walk to the Back Bay, to downtown, to the theater district, so you have that access to those other neighborhoods as well. There's plenty of that historic charm in the South End that people are looking for in the Boston area. Just keep in mind that areas on the southern edge of the South End or the Roxbury adjacent side of the South End just tend to feel a little bit less established than areas further north or on the Back Bay adjacent side of the South End. The fourth walkable neighborhood is the North End, and this is somewhat similar to the South End in that if you are a foodie, the North End is definitely worth considering. There are a ton of great restaurants here, especially Italian restaurants, as well as seafood restaurants, plenty of coffee shops, bakeries, pastry shops, pizza joints. You have access to the Harbor Walk, the Greenway, Christopher Columbus Park, and then you're also a short walk from Faneuil Hall, Government Center, downtown, and the financial district. The biggest downside of this neighborhood is it's next to impossible to actually travel by car in this neighborhood. So if you do own a car and you want to live in the North End, you're going to understand pretty quickly why most residents living in the North End choose to go without a car. The fifth walkable neighborhood in Boston's urban core is the Seaport. And if you prefer new construction, modern amenities, this is probably the neighborhood for you. The Seaport offers luxury condo buildings, luxury apartment buildings, modern amenities, wide sidewalks, beautiful waterfront parks, excellent restaurants, fitness studios, grocery stores, the Harbor Walk. This is one of the easiest places in Boston to live without relying on a car. You're probably going to want to lean towards the Fort Point Channel or the northwestern side of the Seaport for access to other parts of the city. The trade-off in living in the Seaport is you're really not going to find any of that historic Boston charm that you're going to get in neighborhoods like the Back Bay or Beacon Hill. Although the Fort Point area does have some of those historic buildings, it's not quite the residential neighborhood that Back Bay or Beacon Hill or the South End offers. The sixth walkable neighborhood of Boston's walkable core is South Boston or Southie. Now, this neighborhood has transformed pretty dramatically over the last couple of decades, and today you're going to find some great restaurants, coffee shops, fitness studios, grocery stores, waterfront areas. You have Carson and M Street Beach here. This is one of the only neighborhoods in the city of Boston where you actually have public beach access. So plenty of people are hanging out on the sand, going in the water, playing volleyball on the beach here during the summer. You also have Castle Island on the easternmost side of South Boston. This is another great park where people come from all over the city and beyond to hang out with their family, walk their dog, go to Sully's. And there are a lot of residents that actually still own cars and park in South Boston, but because of the limited off-street parking and on-street parking, they tend to not want to use their cars every single day. So plenty of people own cars, but many don't use them with any degree of regularity. And if you want to be a little bit closer to getting to the rest of the city, you're going to want to be on the west side of South Boston. There you're going to have more walkability to the downtown Boston area and the Back Bay. And also the Red Line access is on your western side of South Boston as well. Areas on the east side tend to feel a little bit more quiet and residential, and areas on the west side tend to be a little bit more energetic. There's a lot of young professionals, graduates, place where a lot of people go after they graduate college. It still has that great city energy, and there are a lot of young families in this neighborhood as well. All right, before I move on to areas outside of Boston's urban core, I want to mention a few areas within Boston's urban core that don't necessarily get as much attention. And it's not because they lack walkability, but it's because they sort of lack a specific neighborhood identity that seems to define a lot of these other neighborhoods in Boston. So let's start with the West End, also known as North Station. The West End is one of Boston's most underrated neighborhoods. You are right between the North End and Beacon Hill. You are near Government Center, the Charles River Esplanade, TD Garden, Mass General Hospital, and multiple MBTA lines. Many of the residential buildings here are newer high-rise condos and apartment buildings with plenty of amenities. So if you're prioritizing convenience and modern living, this is a great option for you. The only thing missing here is some of that iconic Boston charm, because during the urban renewal project back in the 50s, 60s, and 70s, they basically wiped this area of Boston clean and started from scratch. The other hidden gem neighborhoods here I'm going to mention are downtown and Midtown. Now, these areas, despite being right in the middle of everything, they just tend to get a little bit less attention because they're more commercial than residential and don't necessarily have a defining characteristic like some of these other neighborhoods. But if your goal is to maximize walkability and convenience to other parts of the city, you can almost not top the downtown Boston area. You can comfortably walk to Beacon Hill, the Back Bay, the Financial District, Boston Common, the Theater District, Chinatown, the North End, and even the Seaport. If you are someone that wants Boston to feel like one big walkable city, I don't think you can actually beat living in downtown or Midtown, because you can walk out the front door of your elevator building, walk in any direction, and you're going to run into something great to do. Okay, so now let's get into a couple of neighborhoods that are walkable within themselves, but if you want to get to areas like downtown or the Back Bay or other great neighborhoods in Boston, you're likely going to have to get on a train or jump in an Uber and head to these other parts of the city from there. The first neighborhood I want to mention is Jamaica Plain. This is one of Boston's most unique neighborhoods. So along Center Street by Jamaica Pond, you have some incredible access to restaurants, coffee shops, breweries, pubs, a lot of locally owned businesses. Then you have Jamaica Pond, the Arnold Arboretum, and Franklin Park, giving you access to some of the best green space in the entire city. This is a fantastic neighborhood if you're looking for a little bit more of a suburban feel, a slightly quieter pace, but still want that walkable lifestyle. The trade-off here is that JP is just a little bit further from the downtown Boston areas, so if you do want to get into town, you're likely going to have to jump on the Orange Line train, take a bus or an Uber to get to those parts of the city. The next neighborhood that falls into a similar category is Charlestown. This is one of Boston's oldest neighborhoods and has one of the strongest neighborhood identities anywhere in the city. You have historic homes, the Navy Yard, waterfront parks, the Bunker Hill Monument, excellent local restaurants, coffee shops, and it definitely has a great neighborhood feel. If you live a little bit closer to City Square or the southern edge of Charlestown, that's going to give you that walkability into the downtown Boston or North End areas. Then as you move further north towards Bunker Hill and some of the more residential neighborhoods of Charlestown, there you're going to be a little bit more reliant on public transportation or catching a quick ride into the downtown Boston area. To wrap up here, guys, one thing that I always tell relocation clients, whether they're coming from New York City or San Francisco or Washington, D.C., wherever they are coming from, Boston is a very small city. It's often much smaller than people think it is. A lot of these neighborhoods are between 5 minutes and a 25-minute walk from each other. So instead of hyper focusing on what neighborhood you want to live in, just try to understand the lifestyle you are looking to live when you get to Boston. Are you looking for luxury, modern amenities? Are you looking for a waterfront lifestyle? Are you looking for a quiet residential feel? Or do you just want to be able to walk to everything? So once you wrap your head around what type of lifestyle you're looking to live here, the decisions about which neighborhoods are going to work for you become a lot clearer. If you're planning on moving to Boston at some point in the next year or two and you need some help narrowing down which neighborhood is going to be best for your lifestyle, your budget, your commute, feel free to reach out to our team. We love helping out relocation clients. We're getting calls all the time from people that are following our YouTube channel and finding us through our agent networks in other markets. So if you need some help narrowing down your search, we'd love to help you. Feel free to reach out and we'll start the conversation and take it from there. And thank you guys so much for your time watching the video. If it was even remotely helpful for you, please don't forget to subscribe. And thanks again for watching. We'll see you on the next one. Take care.